No, and you want to know why? It's because yesterday I forgot to turn off my video. And so that's why it was giving me that little box. I realized that second hour when I went to teach that I turned off because I usually, when I start my recording, I hit stop video, and I forgot to obviously first hour yesterday, and that's why that box was there. So now I know. That's what happens. Hey, good job getting to school. It's not exactly nice out there today. Is it supposed to snow more? Do you know? Yeah. You're right. I love snow. I don't know that being lucky lends itself to knowing how to drive. I think knowing how to drive just comes from just practice, huh? Sure. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. So what we're doing today is we're learning how to take equations that don't look the way we want them to look and convert them into the way we want them to look. We'll do this again in Algebra 2 when we fall in love with the vertex form of a quadratic equation, and then someone gives us an equation in standard form. We're like, hey, I can convert it to vertex form. So that same idea applies a lot in math, that if you want an equation to look a certain way, you can manipulate it. So the one we've been talking about is called slope-intercept. I made reference to that probably over a week ago, and that's the one that you're used to. That's what you did a ton of yesterday. Y equals 2x minus 5. Y equals negative 1/3 of x plus 3. That y equals, that's called slope-intercept form. The new one for today is called standard form. So we're going to add this now to our collection. There will be three. The third one shall remain a mystery for now. The second one is now officially coming out to play today. His name is Standard, and he looks like this. AX plus BY equals C. So we can add this now to something we already know. And just maybe to add this in, just so you're building a good set of notes, the one that you're, again, intimately familiar with is called slope-intercept, and that's y equals mx plus b. So our mission for today, this shouldn't take all too long, I don't think. You've got great skills, so it's always nice when the skill base goes well. Like your first 14 weeks have gone so well that this shouldn't be a big deal because your skills are going to make this not be difficult for you. The goal for today is to take these types of equations in standard form and convert them into these types. So that little yellow arrow is what we're doing today. We're converting equations that look a certain way into what we want. And there'll be no graphing today. You won't have to graph. You're just going to get the equations to look the right way, and then you're going to hit submit, and that's that. This is a really important skill for a ton of stuff that you have to do, not just in this class. So an example of standard form would look like this. Let's say we had 3x plus 2y equals negative 10. So that's our first real look at a standard form equation. And it's pretty characteristically obvious. Like the x and the y are on the same side, and the constant term is on the other side. That's really the essence of being in standard form. So ax plus by equals c. In this case, the capital A, capital B, and capital C refer to integer values. A is 3, B is 2, and C is negative 10. And our goal is to get y by itself. That's actually going to become like the battle cry. Sorry, I got to get down on the ground for a second. I dropped my pen. So the battle cry is get y by itself. That's what you'll say a lot. That'll be the answer to a lot of Mr. Ahern's questions. So let's begin. So if I want this to have y by itself, mechanically, the first thing I have to do is understand that I cannot mess with this. That's called the variable term. And that y term right there is like, you stay. I'll be back for you in a minute. The first thing we want to do is kick the 3x out. And so how would you make a 3x disappear? Yes, apply a minus 3x. So I'm going to subtract 3x on this side, and I'm going to subtract 3x on this side. Anytime you want something to disappear, you can do that. You just got to follow the rules. Do it on both sides. So I'm going to cross these out, and then I'm going to drop down my y term, my variable term, to y equals. Now, you know, since it's almost December, that you cannot put those terms on the right side together. One of them has an x and one of them does not. So if you tried to say something goofy, like negative 13x, you're going to get yelled at. So what we want to do is to make them look the way we want them to look. We want to put the minus 3x as a negative 3x, but put it first. And then simply copy down the minus 10, like that. Eventually, you're going to not show much work on these. You're going to get to a point where, like you have with basic equations, if you want to move something to the other side of the equal sign, you just change the sign, right? That's all I did. I moved the 3x and I made them a negative. Whoop-de-doo. Now, how are we going to finish this job? How are we going to get y officially by itself? How are you going to get that y so that stupid 2 isn't attached to it anymore? Divide. The only way to kill that number is with the division. Adding and subtracting won't do us any good. To pry that one off, we have to put divide by 2. Now, I want you to notice what I'm about to do. I'm going to divide by 2, but I'm going to divide each term individually by 2 because I want to isolate my slope and my y-intercept. I want the m and the b of my y equals mx plus b to just pop off the page. So I'm going to cancel out these 2's, and now I'm going to bring down my answer. Here it goes. Bring down the y equals. As soon as you write y equals, you know you're done. Now you just got to not do anything goofy. Can you do negative 3 divided by 2? No. So you're just going to leave it as a fraction. And that's actually okay because that's going to wind up being your slope. Down 3, right 2. Can you divide negative 10 by 2? That's going to be my y-intercept. That's my final answer. So that's how you convert a standard form equation into a slope-intercept equation. Long story short, get y by itself. Now I've got a long set of examples that I want to run through. They shouldn't all, that one took 3 or 4 minutes. They should all not take nearly that long, now that you kind of get the gist. Next one I have for you, 12y minus 21x equals 108. Don't lose your focus. You want to get y by itself. So who has to get the boot? The x term has to get the boot. You got to vote that sucker off the island. How are you going to make a minus 21x go away? I'm going to add 21x. Now I'm going to show you something here. And I don't know if this is premature, like if you're ready for this, but check this out. I'm just going to write 12y equals. I feel like, man, again, it's almost December. Do I really need to show this? What is that 21x going to become when it lands on the other side? It's going to become a positive. Very good. So I'm just going to pop that 21x right in front. And am I going to put plus 108 or minus 108? Definitely plus, because that 108 is a positive, and positive transfers to being a plus sign. So I'm green lighting you now. If you don't want to show the little cute plus 21x on each side, that's okay. What's the last step? And I am going to show my work on this step just because the nature of these numbers kind of lends itself to wanting to see what I'm doing. So I'm done. I just need to not mess up. Here it goes. Tell me about 21/12. Can you divide 21 by 12? No, not and expect good results, but you can reduce to what? 7/4. If you divide the top and the bottom of that fraction both by 3, you get 7/4 x. And then plus, can you divide 108 by 12? You can. You get 9. Final answer. Say again, bro. Answer. It's really important that you ask your question because I totally want to answer it. I just didn't understand what you meant. Are you talking about? Let me use a yellow arrow. Are you talking about that 108? I didn't really add it to anything, my man. I just kind of see this minus 21x right here. I knew I had to move it across the equal sign. So basically, if you could picture yourself, you just kind of scoop it up like a crane, you drop it over the equal sign and kerplunk it down. But when you kerplunk it right in front of the 108. I don't think I said add. I hope I didn't say add. We can divide. You realize that this in this yellow box is a division problem, right? And I apologize if I did say add. I certainly wouldn't have meant to, but we are dividing 108 by 12, and that's where the 9 came from. Better? All right. Good, good. All right. Who has to move? The 5x has to get voted off the island. And so when I bring down my left side, what will I bring down? Negative 11y. Very good. So minuses, when the thing in front of them goes away, they transfer down and become what we call negatives. Negatives can become minuses. Pluses become positive numbers. Positive numbers become pluses. So we transfer down the negative 11y and then we put equals. And what are we going to pop right next to the equal sign? Nice job. That 5x has a new home and a new name. He pops himself book right down in there and says, let me change myself to a negative. And when he boots that other number aside, what do we put right after the negative 5x? Minus 22. Very good. Levi, you good, bud? All right. What are we going to divide by? Nice. And I encourage you to show this step generally. So there's something about showing division, it helps. I don't know why. So I'm going to cross those out and I'm done. You know, the algebra teacher in me says, I'm done. I'm just going to bring down my y equals, cross my fingers, hope I don't mess up. Can you divide 5 by 11? Of course not. So what am I going to get for a slope? Nice job. Positive 5/11ths, because that's a negative being divided by a negative. Don't forget to slap your x on there. What's my y-intercept going to be? Plus 2. Very good. 22 divided by 11. Feeling good? Okay. I can skip over some of these. I think you guys are kicking some serious booty. How about x plus y equals negative 8? Who has to move? So what will I write next? They're like, give me the whole line, left to right. Let's go. And then what do we have to divide by? Nothing. You're done. Sometimes the math gods just throw you a bone. You're like, that was easy. All right. How about this one? Who should we move? And what are you going to write next? Your whole line, left to right. What will it say? And then what do you have to do? Which is going to give you what? Yeah. I think it's just y equals positive 4x plus 5, right? Because you moved the 4x and it became a negative. You guys ready to learn a trick? I usually don't bust this trick out this early, but you guys are having such a good year. And I know sometimes adults just say nice things to make kids feel good. I'm saying this from the heart. You guys are amazingly good at algebra this year. And so I'm going to show you a trick that will save you some time. I don't mean to ask you dumb questions, but don't you dislike that? I mean, if given the choice, wouldn't you rather that was not a negative y? I mean, not to ask rhetorical questions, but we wish it were a positive y, right? So check this out. I'm going to do a crisscross here. I'm going to basically take the y and the 5 and say, if you two idiots would just switch places, I'd be done. So in one quick, just little wave of the wand, snap of the finger, I'm going to get my final answer. And I'm going to say y equals 4x plus 5. Done. I didn't even have to show work. And you're probably looking at that going, what kind of what black magic is that? Take a look at something. Imagine the green thing and the yellow thing switch places. Can you see it happening? The Y basically says, hey, how about this? I'll come over to your side and become positive, and then you come back over to the other side and get the heck out of my business. Deal? And what it would look like, the step that I didn't show would have been this. So the Y appears over here as a positive. The 4x never has to move, and the 5 moves and becomes a positive. I didn't show you this step with the red arrow. And then all I did was at the end, knowing what it was going to look like, I just gave it the old flipperooski. You're welcome to employ that trickery. Let's practice that trickery again. Let's go with negative x minus y equals 8. Use your trick. You should be able to do this one in your head. Have the y and the 8 switch places and then just write your answer. If you're not ready for that, then add x and divide by -1. It's okay. Perfecto. Absolutely super mega dope perfecto awesomeness. If I wanted to show a little bit of work to not confuse anybody, I would say, hey, check this out. The negative y is coming over here and becoming positive y. The negative x doesn't have to move, but the 8 does and becomes a negative. And then, like Zane said, let's just say it in a more logical order. Let's just flip the sides. Y equals negative x minus 8. Done. You guys think you got this? That is how you get an equation to solve for y. You get it in slope-intercept form, and that's a very, very useful skill. So you have a 20-question assignment, I think, that's on Delta. It should have assigned itself about 20 minutes ago. So the rest of the time is yours. I would recommend scratch paper. Highly recommended.